see Clockwork Vendetta go on the offense, which we mentioned was the weaker of their two outcomes, but Volskaya Industries, yet again, proving that, well, they can still attack. He protect, he attack, and Young and Beautiful aren't going to get this series back.
Christ alive. Well, there you have it, guys. Tridd thinks that Young and Beautiful can't bring this back. We'll see how that goes. The major problem, though, here, which kind of does indicate that, is that Clockwork Vendetta are on defense. If they get a full hold here, it's even easier for them to take away Numbani.
If they get a full hold here, the series is over anyway.
Yeah.
Young and Beautiful can then no longer go for the win, and they result in a draw, which still means the series goes over to CV. So this could actually be disastrous for Yab.
Which CV are probably very happy with, considering the scrappy scorelines of the rest of the season. But really, I imagine they want to set themselves in that top spot on the standing. So if they get a 4-0 here today, that would be excellent for them.
What a hook from Moose. Already finds Jikwid, and now he can guard the corpse, stop FD God from going for the res. He flies in anyway. No, he's got to be over. Pulls out the blaster, going for the reset, won't allow him to do it. It's an easy combo. As soon as those two go down for Young and Beautiful, look how they run and scurry away.
They're just gone, back into hiding, back into the hovels there. And it's so funny because there are so many Moose clips literally on that side of the map where he's just pulling in Mercies, pulling in Faras.
Just catching Mercies all the time.
It's
one of the biggest highlight
pharmacy
clips.
fishing. He just goes pharmacy fishing on the weekend.
Monk Marder, he's fishing with a harpoon right now, and he's putting him on the back of that bow. He's launching it into the sky as well. Now Moose going to keep an eye on Jonah. Uses the coach going to get out. He needed to move and obscure the sightlines because he knows the big boy hook coming from Moose is potentially a threat there. Gets a massive boost across the high ground. Still finds the hook to lock Jonah in place for a Ricky pickup. And he keeps on going. He pops the whole hog. Crown Up will take him down, but it makes it easy for the Engineer to find the kill. And of course, Zytor can just come in and clean up the mess. Another pick from McMarder as he gets the Dragon Strike online for the next engagement. Hooney pop the Transcendence? Question mark?
Huh? Unless he just switched. He might.
No, he popped it. It came up on the screen.
Oh dear! I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. There's no benefit here. That is just a gone Transcendence.
Yikwid's now on the side, has the barrage, and Malt's now getting that Dragon Strike online as well. FD God still with the pocket. Moose isn't in a position to go for the hook yet, but you see him on the high ground. Ricky's been found out. That might be a time for Clockwork to go, Moose, can you go do your thing and just get this Farah in check? He connected a hook onto someone, it was Jonah, but Molfing and Yikwids have found Moose and got the kill onto Zytor, so no more reses. And Engineer has the Molten Core. Minimi might have the Supercharger. Ricky with the Blizzard as well. They're going to commit the ult spike. They think they can hold it down, but their health bars are in disarray. Young and Beautiful will get the capture on point A.
Interesting use of ultimates, all in all, there. The Transcendence.
From both sides.
The Molten Core, the whole hog as well. So really here, Young and Beautiful, they kind of deserve the win on the first point, I guess. You don't have to use the Transcendence. Now, it looks like they're going to go make some switches up of the composition. Clockwork Vendetta, on the other hand, Ricky used the Blizzard? I think he's just making up for it. I mean, who used a trans, we'll give you an ultimate as well. It's just, if that's for real, that's pretty BS.
I don't know if he did it intentionally. It might have been a fat finger blank. Crandop going to take out Minimi and Molf deals with Moose as well. Blizzard, realistically, could have come in handy right now as they try and stem the bleeding of the cuts that Young and Beautiful are opening up for them. Easy headshot there, going to pick him off. Molf finds Ricky, so the payload will get in motion. There's one more contest on the line for Clockwork, but it's not going to be an advantageous one.
That's the most perplexing last minute of Overwatch history, really, for me right here. But we'll get back to the game. Clockwork Vendetta, not many ultimates online. It's just going to be a very dry fight coming up next. Probably quite messy too, but we have touted the individual skill of Clockwork Vendetta.
That's all that this map has been like. It's been incredibly messy Overwatch. As Molf now has that Dragon Strike ready to go.
It's a food fight.
They're going to pull up that wall. They're going to put the ice block onto the point to contest. Moose's hook brings Yikwids in. He's now on the Roadhog himself. There's that Dragon Strike cutting through. Moose can't go anywhere because the wall blocks the retreat. And Ricky will pop the ice block to stay alive as they try and keep Minimi in that position on the payload, contesting it off to the side.
Interesting res there. I think it maybe have been on cooldown. He was waiting so long. He did have the wall in the way. Monk Marder in the back, plinking some shots through.
He's got Marder in the back, but he's not going to be able to get much done about this one. Hooney find that second. Jonah makes it a third. Young and Beautiful, just going to walk this one in now. They just need to clear out Engineer. This is not the Clockwork Vendetta we're used to seeing. But Young and Beautiful have certainly stepped it up a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's fair to say. Young and Beautiful now have some ultimates too. They were through that dry fight. Now they've set themselves up for a good snowball coming into point C, which is arguably one of the hardest points to push, just because of how close the spawns are and how much the terrain favors the defenders. Monkmana pops the Infrasight. Ricky with the May Blizzard. He's been great with this ultimate so far. He needs to be good now.
Rooney gets taken out. The Blizzard will still land before he dies. The wall comes in from Ricky. That actually proved detrimental because he locks himself in there, but there was no sightlines to capitalize on the freeze. So it was a double-edged sword there. Very risky, but it worked out for him. Zaito now brings Monkmana back into the fight. Engineer takes out FD God after he brings Crown back. The Clockwork Vendetta now going to stand on the point as Crown will be the last man standing. It's easy pick-off here. So it means the Clockwork Vendetta will stabilize after that first bend of the third section of the map.
I really enjoy the way the Engineer uses the overload. Tends to just pop it and then runs full frontal force at the enemy team and just tries to remove as many threats as possible when they're in close spot.
The overload is like a war cry. It's his battle cry.
Yeah, it really is.
Overload, whips out the hammer and just runs at you. It's absolutely terrifying to be on the other end of that.
I'd be quaking in my boots. I'm telling you that now. Clockwork Vendetta, they have this Molten Core. So far, Monkmana has been dying a bit more frequently than we've seen before. Jonah definitely putting the pressure on him at the moment.
There's the Supercharger being traded out. So is the Dragon Strike, but Moose now has that whole hog online ready to go, and he's got the damage boost. He might want to use it while this is still up. Young and Beautiful being very mindful of that. They're actually carrying around the cover, playing around it. As Valve also popped by Zaito. Now there's no ults on the board apart from that Supercharger. Yikwid's frozen up before he can get his whole hog online, because Young and Beautiful are in a similar boat as well, except they're starting to lose members.
Yeah, and this time, now that Clockwork Vendetta have a full ultimate bank, they're in a much more comfortable position here. It seems like they're able to stabilize. 1 minute left on the clock here, Tridd, but Young and Beautiful have pushed it fairly far so far.
Uncharacteristic miss for Moose there. The Hulk came in, but he didn't connect with the hook. Still keeping Young and Beautiful at bay. We're now moving to sub 1 minute territory, and we're looking at what Young and Beautiful can bring to the party. Blizzard, we've seen, has been a pivotal ultimate in these fights across this entire series. Yikwid has the whole hog online as well, but what else are you going to combo it with? Clockwork Vendetta, they need to buy time to get Engineer's Molten Core online, but they have the Blizzard and the whole hog to do that. Monkmana nearly got the Infrasights, but it makes it all that much easier.
I think here it's very tough to say because the ult tracking that you will be doing on Clockwork Vendetta is for Hooney's May Blizzard. So does Ricky use his early? It looks like Moose will pop the whole hog to begin with, though.
Trying to get some point clearance. A bit of a wasted ultimate, but it does burn the time back down to 20 seconds. This will be the final attempt for Young and Beautiful. They have to get it done in one. Monkmana off to the side with the sightlines already as Morph takes out Ricky early. He gets the Blizzard on the field for Minimi and Engineer to find two. But now they're dealing with Hooney's own Blizzard. It expires. They get the res on the Ricky. Hooney, another one to the collection. More kills for the Hammer God as Engineer finds it himself, and no one's touching the point. That just means Young and Beautiful's journey is going to end a little bit sooner than expected. They won't get the completion on them, Barney, but they have made a sizable dent in the distance, which means it will be possible for them to potentially come back on this map.
That fight was 5v6 essentially, though, because Jonah was round about towards B spawn for the attackers the majority of the time. I think he was trying to get an angle off there, but ended up just like grappling around in the backlines. And really, Young and Beautiful did not have the support that they needed from him in that situation. I've been fairly impressed with him during the majority of the series, but there I think that's a major failing on his part, unfortunately. Unless Clockwork Vendetta are able to zone him out, which is completely fair as well, and cut off his path, but I'm not sure. I think that really did affect how that fight went down in the end. Clockwork Vendetta, they will be on the attack now. They do have a very, very good win condition to close out this series. They don't even have to go for a round 2 here on Numbani. They can just complete here and now.
This is their round to finish off the series, guarantee themselves at minimum a 3-0, and put to bed 2 for 2, Young and Beautiful. Do it in trials, do it in contenders. The way you want to roll with it one. Pause, coming out unfortunately, which probably means that someone's experiencing a little bit of lag. It's one of those things, it does happen occasionally.
Yeah, unless you're Morning Stars, in which case you've got a bunker in Italy, in the side of the mountain.
I don't know if you were here for it, because they actually used to be one of the worst offenders for the pauses, even though they were in that bunker with, as Harry pointed out, that high-speed internet that comes into it. we actually see a lot of those players actually have issues with lag during previous seasons, so they're not entirely free of it. Maybe it was the upgrade this season that's made all the difference for them.
It's the fiber optic, yeah.
Fiber optic, of course, brought to them by the power of stars that comes into this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Young and Beautiful, we've already kind of highlighted there that maybe Jonah, a little bit of a misplay at the end there, and he's been one of the high notes for this team. Not only in this series, but in this season altogether since he's joined this roster and been a part of it.
Yeah. So it seems that Young and Beautiful are currently experiencing those lag issues that we mentioned beforehand. Maybe that's the reason that Jonah wasn't in that fight. Maybe perhaps he had some lag issues towards the end there, the ping spiking. But now we are back in game. Young and Beautiful getting ready to defend their hopes in this series.
I really want to see Huni commit to this soldier. Quad DPS for Young and Beautiful on the defense. They really want to nail this one home. They think that the DPS, the heavier it is, the more that's being output, will help them win out against Clockwork Vendetta, break the shield of Mini-Me, and then break the entire team.
Generally, Soldier's not picked very much at the moment because versus Free, the overwhelming sustain is just so much versus his 19 damage per pellet shot. But in this case, he's only up against 50 HPS from the Mercy, so maybe this could work out really well.
Oh, what a blast from Moose and Engineer. Well, not from Moose and Engineer, to Moose and Engineer. The sender, of course, being Yickwids on this Pharaoh. And this was one of the things we highlighted at the beginning of this map was we need to be cautious of this guy whipping out a hero he's clearly proficient with.
Yeah, it will be Yickwids going back to pick up FD God. He was taken out by Ricky there, and we all know that the Pharaoh can create some incredible pace using the concussion rocket and also that jump rocket.
Also, he's BFFs with Mercies as well.
He is, yeah. So it is general for him to go pick up the last as well. Now, Barrage online, looking for a place to use it. Obviously, that massive concussive rocket will just jump charge his ultimate to 97% here.
He can swing in here faster than Wrecking Ball if he wants to. Now he's got the ultimate online. We didn't really highlight that Huni has the burst from the Helix rocket, so he uses that to take out Mini-Me. Magmata will shut him down as Moose now finds the second kill. Clockwork Vendetta playing this one slow as they bring Ricky back into the fight. They might have to rely on Yickwids here if they're not too careful, because Molf's going to have to come back with a Dragon Strike. He can send that in from spawn if things get too dire, but it's not going to be ideal. There's the Valkyrie being popped by Zaito as he goes up into the sky, and will look to support Crandall.
Huni, so careful in this top line, knows that hook is coming, which is why he's dashing backwards and forwards here. Moose going towards Crandall with the whole hog.
Nice pivot, but he exposed himself to Engineer by doing so, and that's just by virtue of the pressure that Moose applied. Huni off to the side with the tactical visor, and we joke about how it's the most impactful ult in the game right now. Not really, as FD God is now caught in the blizzard. The rest of the team will fall to the wayside. This Clockwork Vendetta taking over point A, getting the payload in motion. Yickwids on a swivel. Will only find Ricky, and Morph stalls it out a little bit longer, but the outcome is still the same. CV capture point A.
That could have been huge. Unfortunately, Mini-Me's shield did a little bit of damage from the splashback from the barrage there. Giga Brain play from the spawn.
I don't know if that was necessarily planned, but we talked about even last week how there was that particular attack on Paris where that lone Orisa shield that was left out on the field after the Orisa had died
It's king.
swung the fight in their favor. Might have been a little bit of that happening right now. Oh, Engineer.
Oh, come on.
Goes from being a manufacturer to the manufactured as he jumps onto the Bastion. That DPS shredding through Crandall. Magmata being the one to find the kill, though. And they're going to walk this one in with the pirate ship composition.
This is just rude. Oh, takes him down. You got 2 shields. Come on. Keep the boy alive.
Nah, Moose wants to get involved in the action. He's looking for the fire strike. He wants damage on the board. That's how this man operates. The res comes in to bring him back. Magmata finds 2 off on his own lonesome. They're so good to make that free. He did get the assist there. There was a freeze coming in onto Yickwids to make it easier. Ricky, again finding Jonah. The team so focused on dealing with Engineer, they're ignoring the other threats on Clockwork.
This is such a solo queue composition, but it was extremely well done because it was timed as Huni switched off to the Mei and Yickwids off onto the Roadhog. Now they don't have extreme shield break, which absolutely do need to get rid of this composition on the payload.
They can supercharge Engineer. They're so close to finishing this one off. The Dragon Strike will get them off the payload, but I don't know if they can set up to do anything about it, as Magmata will still be taking heads after head. He takes out Hooney, goes to the flank. He has the Infosights online. If Deagle brings him online, Ricky's been taken out. He was so close to that Blizzard as well. But Clockwork had already committed the supercharger. Jonah swings in. He finds the kill. Zyta brings Mickey back. The Blizzard's going to be committed. Molf, Hooney, Jonah, no one can touch this one. They're relying on Crown Dot for the presence.
Engineer still on the low ground. Ricky popping off.
Free
Engineer,
HP! Popping the configuration tank form as he jumps up. The wall will block out the first shot. Bursts through the shield. Unable to find anything. What is this accuracy, man? You need to find someone. The splash damage was enough to give them the kill.
No!
But no one could touch. Clockwork Vendetta secured themselves the series. And map number 4 is just being played for the differential.
It was, right there, what we call a zoning tank. No one could get towards the point, and they were just pushed away in the end. Saw some tricky movements there from FD God, but you left the payload, mate.
That's all that really mattered in that instance.
Yeah.
But he didn't get any direct hits as we typically see, but the splash damage still came into effect and helped his team secure some of the kills. But it was all about, as we mentioned earlier, the pressure and the fear that a Bastion inspires in the enemy team.
They had 4 minutes remaining on the clock towards the end there, so there was a lot of time remaining for them, even if they didn't get that push through. Young and Beautiful, they look a little bit burnt out as the series rounds it off there, but we will have one more map coming right at you. It is Havana. I'm going to take a short break. We're back with you in a second.
Welcome back to Contenders Europe. We've already seen Clockwork Vendetta win out the series with a 3-0 scoreline. They're looking for the fourth, though, to basically have a case of deja vu, because this was the scoreline we were looking at last time they played Young and Beautiful in Contenders Trials. And now we're on to Havana, our final map, and that's all that Young and Beautiful can play for now, is the map difference. It's also a little bit of pride on the line as well.
There really is some pride on the line here. You don't want to get 4-0'd by Clockwork Vendetta. No way in hell do you want to get 4-0'd by this team.
Considering how rare 4-0s have actually been this season as well.
Yeah, they're like diamonds. They're diamonds at the moment.
Clockwork has already had one diamond, though.
Yeah, now they're going to get another. They're going to have a pickaxe at this rate.
Yeah, they're going to be able to form that together quite nicely, and then just build up even more revenue as the series goes on. Well, season goes on.
For sure. This is the thing, though, is that I genuinely think this team is just getting better and better, which is very surprising, considering that...
Why is it surprising?
I don't know. It's just... They are a self-proclaimed one-trick team. And it's like, in my head, it's like, bottom of the standings. But here they are right at the top, and it's like... They're a really good team, and they're so enjoyable to watch, but it just completely... It's so topsy-turvy in Contenders Europe at the moment.
Up is down, down is up. I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore, Blank.
I mean, unless I knew I was casting there, I really wouldn't, to be honest with you, if Clockwork Vendetta was still about. But yeah, Young and Beautiful versus Clockwork Vendetta on Havana. Young and Beautiful currently looking out like they're running out of gas towards the end of this series. And Havana, as we know, very easy to full hold, or at least have a very good hold on point A. And once again, Clockwork Vendetta are on the defense first.
Ironically enough, that's exactly what you're going to need when you go to Cuba, because they have a lot of 50s American cars, and the miles per gallon on those, not very well. So gas is what you need to bring with you.
And if you're not bringing it here, Young and Beautiful, well, you can sure as hell know that you're going to be like this car right at the front, going nowhere if you don't let it.
Put some fuel in the tank. That's what the message from Blank is Young and Beautiful. Going to walk out of their spawn room with Clockwork holding nice and tightly Engineer's turret. His baby, as you hear him proclaim, been taken out. McMarta's got the sightlines from afar, looking for some lethal damage.
Currently, Young and Beautiful just staying on the right side, respecting McMarta, but...
Respect that! Engineer being decimated by the Storm Arrow, and you're right, Blank. It's off the back of a fantastic hook coming in from Molt.
Where's he going?
He's looking for something. Pulls it a hook in.
Instant how can you let him do that?
You can't try and contest Moose like this. He's definitely the more proficient Roadhog when it comes down to it. The one trick, as we've already proclaimed. Hooney's taking him out afterwards, so it's not a fair 1v1. It was a dishonorable duel where people were throwing in, sticking their nose where they had no business to. The cliff notes of this one, though, Blank, Young and Beautiful have got the payload in motion, and they've got 3 minutes to get it to checkpoint A.
Yeah, Nozzle is now in the tank. Young and Beautiful, they're going to have that Valkyrie, so they will be able to force this next fight. Zaitor currently at 59%, so very, very much behind here. McMarta not able to hit the shots because Young and Beautiful is starting to really respect the lad and playing very much behind the shield at the moment, which very much to their advantage, and it looks like they're performing a lot better, but they do need to start also respecting the man himself.
This little platform is great for people like Yikwis to play around. They can just jump around and get the crossfire, find alternative angle onto Clockwork Vendetta. Zaitor having to res out Engineer. He was already picked off. There's the Blizzard being committed by Ricky. They want to press forward. The wall will suppress the offensive coming out. So heads up play from Hooney there to try and save Molf, who will get out of the freeze. Great reactions there. Great calm presence by Jonah to be able to win out that duel with a solid headshot. Here's McMarta going in, spraying like a madman. Storm Arrow to find Ricky, as Young and Beautiful will continue to press forward in this one. Dragon Strike being committed through the Supercharger to get them as far away as they can. Moose has found one. He's on life support right now, but will sustain throughout it.
Morphic down, so none of that hook combo here, but he does be brought back up now.
It's easy for Yikwis to be able to follow up from that one. The wall trying to buy more time, stall it out. But Yikwis doesn't even have to try. The Storm Arrow at point blank range. There's so much damage being blasted into Ricky and Engineer.
Those big old arrows as well, they are going to find you no matter what. McMarta taking stance on the high ground there, but found out by the Sonic Arrow very, very quickly. Young and Beautiful, they will not be full held on point A and will attempt to make it here through Havana point B. But versus British Hurricane, this is where Clockwork Vendetta held them last time.
It's also quite a disappointing sight when we're basically saying, hey, you passed the first checkpoint. Good job, fella.
Buddy.
Good job, fella. Jonah, with no sarcasm, very good job there to take out McMarta from the high ground. One clean headshot forcing out the res. There's the Hulk. It hooks up Crown Drop, but the Molten Core will not find all the damage it wants. And playing very reserved, you saw that last splash coming out from Engineer as he saw where Crown Drop was trying to retreat to and cutting off safety and comfort for this player.
Yeah, I really like the way Engineer uses his ultimate. Always uses Deny flanking on runes because he knows that the major threat here at the moment is the hook. Engineer will take out Jonah, followed by FD God.
With a headshot as well. There's a hook into Moose. He's alive though. He just has to deal with his opposing Molf on that Roadhog as well. They're going to press forward. Now it's frozen up. It's just easy pickings for them. Clockwork Vendetta shut down Young and Beautiful's offense.
Yeah, want to squeeze as much time as possible out of these very, very long fights just because of the way that Clockwork Vendetta like to deny movement, mobility from Young and Beautiful. But now, 4 ultimates available. Infrasight popped already. And a lot of ultimates here to basically restrict mobility, and then the Dragon Strikes will be used there and afterwards to just crush the opponents.
Tell you what's not mobile, Blank. Rigor Mortis. And FD God's going to be feeling that right now. He's already been killed off.
Clutching the staff.
He can't res himself. Now, he's going to have to wait a little bit longer, and it really does put Young and Beautiful in a situation where they just have to wait a little bit longer, and it's burning more of their time.
Like how Crandot towards the end of that was just stood around the corner just still. He was like, yeah, I'll just wait. Just wait for the next one and go again.
It's the only thing he can do, Blank. He can't really walk forward, especially when his shield breaks in pretty much an instant. He needs the healing, because look how much damage he takes the second it goes down.
It's an incredible amount of pressure that Young and Beautiful are taking from Clockwork Vendetta. That's a wonderful pick there to begin this.
Nice flank attempt from Moose. Won't find it. They're sitting behind that bunker right now. Zander went for the res. It was very ambitious. Crandot will punish it accordingly. But with the Blizzard coming in, it's so easy for Clockwork Vendetta to turn this back around in his favor. Moose, easy pickings onto Jonah. And I keep saying the word easy because that's what it looks like right now. Clockwork Vendetta making it look easy because they're so calm. They're collected. That's not very collected, though, as Moose will commit the whole hog. But it gets the job done. Yiquiz, they're going to be able to shut him down afterwards. But it's just so messy from both teams.
Dude, Moose is such a nihilistic character. It's just no matter what happens, he just does not care. It's like, oh, you get res, I missed the hook. No worries, mate. I'm just going to pop the whole hog.
Multicore online. McMarder takes that crown up, and Molfig will deal with the turret, and the supercharge has already been removed as well. We're looking for Engineer to get this one online. 1 minute remaining.
This is the exact spot the Hurricane were held in.
Not the exact spot they want to be right now, though, Blank, because the Dragon Strike cuts through them like a hot knife through butter. Molfig, with that whole hog, then clears out Mini-Me as well. They're pushing them into this final checkpoint, and I don't think Clockwork Vendetta have got the spawns to be able to get this final contest in.
No, and even if they do, they'll be coming through such a tight choke. It's very easy for Young and Beautiful to create a lot of pressure there. So it will be Zaito who's looking to push.
No. Zaito. He was spotted out by the Sonic Arrow, and the hook just seals the deal for Jonah. Pushes Clockwork Vendetta even further back into this final section.
Now, Clockwork Vendetta, they're going to have the Molten Core, but it's so expansive on point C, it's not going to have too much effect. And Molfig finding Moose there, all of their killing capability on Clockwork Vendetta is removed.
Wall goes up and cuts off Yiquid's path, or ideal path, for a few seconds, nothing more. FD God has to take cover. Took a massive chunk. Has the Valkyrie to pop if things get a little bit too hairy. Young and Beautiful now going to be walking forward. There's the Molten Core going over the wall. He volleys it into the back line. Magmada with the direct shot onto Yiquid as well. Really does set everything back for Young and Beautiful.
Really interesting usage. Again, he puts it in front and puts it behind like 2 May walls.
Now he pops the Overlord. He runs at them. Everyone's already dead, though. Trying to contest Yiquid. The wall, I think, actually shut Yiquid's out of his retreat he wanted. Regardless of the fact, Moose will still find Hootie. 1 minute remaining for Young and Beautiful. They are in this final section, but with the ults online for Clockwork Vendetta, I think it's very unlikely they get much further.
Plethora of tools for Clockwork Vendetta to work with here. This has to be a big pick, and it is.
Yiquid will then just hit him with the Storm Arrow, as he's been doing all game. Supercharger online, as well as the Blizzards being traded out here as Crown-Dop and Hootie sitting in the middle. But Mamada is well in the back, well out of the range of danger. Just picking heads constantly. FD got
really?
back in. So ambitious, but Zaito will do the exact same thing to Ricky and level out the playing field with 25 seconds remaining.
Morphic pops the whole hog, and off the side Ricky goes.
As well as Mini-Me. Jonah then finds the pick onto Moose. So they're going to do this one in overtime if they can at all. There's only going to be the Supercharger and the Dragon Strike for Young and Beautiful in this, what could be the final clash. They have to go up against the Valkyrie and a whole hog from Moose.
Massive tool to push them off the payload is that whole hog Tridd. So potentially if the Overwatch time wick drops down enough, the whole hog could be huge.
Just like Volskaya though, this could be a stall tactic to get Engineer's Molten Core online. They're looking for Moose, he's off to the side. Mamada's already found Jonah! Taking him out, he popped the info site, so that information will still be given over to Young and Beautiful. FD God brings him back, but Huni cannot be rezzed here, and he was so close to the Blizzard. That ultimate could have been pivotal. Krandov has been isolated by Moose. Great use of the whole hog to make that happen, and they're going to be forcing out this even longer. The wall comes out, there was nothing they could do about it, but they have made a huge dent on Havana.
Clockwork Vendetta, they will hold them. Point C. And this is just a brief pit stop for them now. Again, they have that win condition. Get it to the end of point C, and you're done. The 4-0 is yours. Young and Beautiful, again, at the very last hurdle. Now, once again, they want to hold this just for pride. Make sure they don't get 4-0'd.
Another pause coming in. Probably a nice little flare-up off the ping. Get back into the match really soon. And like, this has actually been an incredibly fast evening of Contenders. That series, the first one we had, was dominant. And it just ended so quickly. And then this one, for the most part already, has been very quick as well. Where, you know, if I had a watch on my wrist, I'd be looking at it right now going, oh, this is fast. I'm going to get out of work a little bit earlier today.
I think that what's really interesting as we come into week 5, right, is that the teams are starting to differentiate themselves from the top teams and the teams towards the bottom at the moment. And that gap seems to be getting larger and larger. And I think a lot of that's because some teams are starting to find themselves. Some teams are starting to get the correct players on their team. AT, for example, they've got Bruce on. He's massively upped their game, and it seems everyone else has seemed to almost up their own game with him. But now we're seeing Clockwork Vendetta. They're starting to rush towards the top of this mountain that is Contenders Europe.
We can also argue with strength of schedule. But that's an argument me and you are going to have.
Later,
because we're going to a quick break while we sort the technical issues. Back into the game, technical issues resolved, and Clockwork Vendetta, they're going to close out the series with the 4-0 scoreline. They just have to match the distance set by Young and Beautiful.
Yeah, Clockwork Vendetta, they've just got to resolve this map, basically. Young and Beautiful.
And show some resolve as well to make that happen.
For sure. Young and Beautiful, they've got to have some of the same too. I'm pretty sure Clockwork Vendetta, they're in the driver's seat right now. Wow, I've actually not seen this part of the map of Havana before. It's actually quite beautiful.
Blank, focus, the game.
I'm sorry. The aesthetics, dude. The aesthetics. I love them. Here we are, the beginning. Young and Beautiful, they're going to hit us up with the 3-2-1 actually, with the May on board and a Hootie and the Moira. They're looking to walk past the shields and take down Moose because I think they're predicting that this weird little composition that Clockwork Vendetta like to run is going to come out here.
They're setting up a sanctuary for the Moose to roam free. Not worrying about the poachers that are coming to find him. The hunters looking for the valuable pelt and the antlers to make a finely crafted knife.
Really here, it's going to be up to Young and Beautiful to see if they can actually have a decent ride on this safari, or will they be taken in by the safari truck that's coming up?
What safaris are you going on where you're seeing mooses? Meese. I don't know what the correct plural is. But moose.
Interesting safaris,
Oh,
mate.
oh my. Moose is now looking to find something with the sentry form from the spawn room just to clear off the aggressive hold that potentially comes in for Young and Beautiful. So this might not be the comp they're going to stick with, as Moose is going over to something more familiar, the Roadhog for Clockwork Vendetta.
And now, really, Young and Beautiful's composition starts to fall down because they weren't prepared for this. But it does mean they can switch as long as they have this close hold. But Jonah already finding the first pick.
It's going to be big for Young and Beautiful. If they can milk them for ult charge right now, they set themselves up quite nicely for a solid hold on point A. Jonah's only at 25% already, but I'm not looking at him. I'm looking at Crandop and Hooney, who've got themselves the Earth Shatter and the Coalescence.
Coalescence is actually pretty big here. You've only got Monk Martyr healing and the 30 HPS coming out from the orb, so Coalescence is going to do a lot of damage in a closed-off space.
There's the wall to cut off the retreat from Moose, but they actually box in Crandop.
He's
alive! You're
alive!
going to wall us, we'll wall you. The Bionade was there to deny the healing, but the shield was strong, and it keeps him up and ready to rumble some more.
Where there's little to no high ground here, the linear shielding from Crandop is huge. Big hook!
Bang! The hook is there and immediately puts him in the basket to take home to his family. Today, he is hooked to fish, and they're going to eat well tonight. Molf finding off Mini-Me. The Blizzard comes in. They're being traded out by both teams. But they're going to be putting everything on ice. FD God comes in with the slap on Ricky, but Moose will punish him accordingly for it. Young and Beautiful starting to lose members, but they're still holding CV at the doors.
Zaitor coming on this Transcendence, so even Jonah gets this Graviton online. There will be a defensive ultimate for it. Crandop has the Shatter, ready to lay it down. Transcendence early.
That's no REM. He's up on his feet already as he's pushed off to the side by the whole hog. Also the board for Young and Beautiful. Clockwork Vendetta will remove them from this entrenched, aggressive point A position, but it burnt half the time bank, and they will definitely get a recontest, but they have the economic advantage coming into that fight.
Huge. The stonks are up here for Young and Beautiful. 6 ultimates online. Clockwork Vendetta.
Only with the free. The Molten Core, the Nano Boost, and the Supercharger. Who you're popping that Nano Boost into. You don't want to be giving it to Engineer as much as he's begging you for it.
Please, bro.
for it. He's not going to get it. Molten Core drops. There's going to be self-destruct skidding in the background. We'll take out the Supercharger. This Graviton Coalescence combination finds Ricky on the back end of it. This is a one fight for Young and Beautiful. They committed 4 of those 6 ults, but they still have the sound barrier in the Blizzard if things start to go wrong.
Engineer, the last one still out in the opening here, but Moose will be next on the list.
They're just going to walk him back now, Blank. Blizzard available for Yickwids.
Put him on the leash.
Still running away. The barrier needs to come online. The healing's not there. Jonah will find him. Ricky takes out Hooney. They're locking Moose out of the
you're going nowhere.
They might not be able to get a kill, though. The Take a Breather's there. Molf will see the deal. SD God finding 2 on the back end of that. 60 seconds remaining. I don't know how CV are going to get back into this round.
Oh, stop right there. Shield's up in the way. You're completely right here, Tridd. How do CV get back into this? Young and Beautiful. The prize on the line. And they are showing up big time versus Clockwork Vendetta here on Havana Point A.
Ricky is going to get that Blizzard online, but here's something he hasn't had to worry about all series. Molf is on the Diva. He could come in for the consumption. If he's gung-ho with this, it could be detrimental. Crandop's found McMarder. This might be panic time. Ricky's going to throw it out, and it will land. Crandop in the freeze. So is Jonah. Hooney will try and sustain him from the outside, but it's not meant to be. Mini-Me and Zaitor finding 2, and there's the Molten Core as well, being plastered all over the floor. Clockwork Vendetta have restabilized, and they will walk this one into checkpoint A.
You potentially have one last recontest here, and with a Blizzard, a Shatter, a Graviton, and a Diva Bomb, it's very possible to hold them here, Tridd. They really need to deny them coming out of spawn, very much so, and that'll be down to Ricky.
You're right, Blank. Young and Beautiful. They're going to go for this one, I think. They have the ults on blind, as you've said. They're going to walk out. The hook's not good. The shield blocks it out. As there's a protected barrier, but now Moose is being frozen out. The self-destruct's coming in. It fights 2. Molf being the one to make that one happen as the remake comes in. They're sitting on top of the Transcendence as the 3rd kill is going to happen. Young and Beautiful have done enough. They can walk away with their heads held high. They will not be 4-0 today. They walk away with that final map.
And that is huge for the self-confidence coming into next week's game. Knowing you don't get 4-0 by that CV, but most importantly, that is the last map as well that you get it in on Escort, which is arguably probably one of the best maps for Clockwork Vendetta, where they can coalesce around a bunker that's moving itself. So very happy for Young and Beautiful there, but Clockwork Vendetta once again, very, very dominant showing.
A team that never ceases to amaze, constantly surprises. And you're surprised at their development. I'm surprised that this team even exists.
Yeah.
Bunch of players who decided, hey, let's give it a go. Let's go down that path to pro, see how far we get. And then they blink and they're suddenly in contenders. And they're racking up the wins as well. They're not in that first place. They may be today, but we still have the likes of Team Giganti to play tomorrow. And based off their performance, they could probably dethrone them from that first place. But the fact that they are that high in the standings, still, when we're 5 weeks into this competition, Blank, is nothing but an accolade to this brand new team.
It's a real testament to the latent talent within Europe as well, which is nice to see that we're still seeing new, fresh faces coming into the fold and performing excellently well. Moose, maybe a little bit over-aggressive at times, but he still has one hell of a highlight reel after today. And I think that, yeah, we've highlighted McMarder a lot, we've highlighted Zaitor a lot, but I think Ricky has been really consistent the entire game. The walls have been very, very good. And even when there was a diva on the field, he was still getting out those May blizzards very, very effectively.
Well, there's your schedule. Well, it's not really a schedule. It's more of a results card at this point, because this is what you've missed if you're just shooting in now. If so, where have you been? Angry Titans, 3-1 scoreline against Morning Stars. That Angry Titans really needed that win, Blank.
Oh, they
did. And it came in big for them. This is time for them to start looking upwards. They'd look to climb the standings, get themselves into playoffs, and carry on the tradition of being a dominant team. Now we look onto this series as well. You've just watched this one, Clockwork Vendetta, 3-1 scoreline against Young and Beautiful.
And I think that we can talk a little bit more about the first match as well, because it's quite interesting. As the Angry Titans obviously are reigning champions from Season 1. I think that coming back into, they lost a really strong front line for them, but now they've got Brucen in, and it seems that the rest of the team is starting to coalesce around him very, very well. Here's your standings. Clockwork Vendetta currently at the top. So Team Giganti, the only way that they stay here in the number 2 spot is if they get 4-0 tomorrow.
I'm looking at the map difference, Blank. Like, that's the big one for me right now. They're tying the map difference with Giganti. So even a loss here could set Clockwork up to not only potentially run away with the rest of the season, but they might be in a good enough position here to potentially contend for that first round bye when it comes around the playoffs.
Oh, which is going to be very surprising indeed. Well, actually, I won't even say surprising anymore. At this point in time, I'm fairly certain that, you know what, it's not surprising to see Clockwork Vendetta here at the top. They have performed extremely well this entire time.